everybody, this is Moo.
And this is Fuji.
We just watched Tarzan.
We just watched Phil Collins' The Musical.
It is Phil Collins' best hits, except it was an actual good narrative here, unlike The Bodyguard, where it's Whitney Houston's new album, the movie.
You know, you say that, but The Bodyguard was popular when it came out.
I don't get it.
The Bodyguard was a popular film.
Why?
It was a hit film.
Just for Whitney Houston? That's it?
Yeah.
Why else would you like them?
Yes.
I guess if you like romance
It's
stories.
a romantic story set to a Whitney Houston soundtrack. And my mom likes that movie.
My mom also likes that movie.
It's a movie for moms.
It really is a movie for moms.
But this is a movie for everybody because it's good.
Yeah, this is a good movie. It looks really
wow,
nice.
That sounded really dumb when I said it. I was going to say something else. But then my brain replaced it with, this is a good movie.
Okay, what we're actually going to say.
I was probably going to say something about how the original novel is shit.
Well, the original is absolute colonialism garbage.
I mean, it's a classic novel.
Yes, it is.
If you have the chance, you should read it. I think...
Just read one of them, though. Don't read the rest of them.
I mean, I've read the first one.
Me too.
I think that the subsequent ones kind of get interesting, but wow, this one was just a lot of colonialism. And this movie is better. It's better than the source material.
It's mostly because it distills the colonialism more or less out of the story. Like, for example, Tarzan stays in the jungle at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't go to England, unlike in the book where he does, and that's what the other X books are, is him in the people world and all that stuff. But does he ever go back to the jungle?
There are stories where he's in the jungle. I don't know if they are like prequels or if he does go back. Yeah. I only ever read the first one.
Yeah. Have you seen any other Tarzan movies besides this one?
I've seen some like on TV, just kind of in passing.
Yeah. There's one. It's the one that's in the Great Movie Ride, at the Disney parks. Mm-hmm. But I cannot remember when it came out. It's an older one. It has like it's Tarzan and Jane are there, and I just remember I've only seen like parts of it because like I'm passing with my dad's. Like has it on the TV, and it's on the old movies channel, and you're just like, oh yeah, there's Tarzan with its weird props and stuff. But well, they have actual animals. But like in the Great Movie Ride, when you go through that area, you have Jane sitting on an elephant. There's a chimpanzee there, and then her only line in that is like, "Oh, Tarzan!" And then you look over, and there's an animatronic of Tarzan going, "Oh, whoosh!" And then it goes back the other way, "Oh, whoosh!" And yeah, I could see it because I've been on the Great Movie Ride enough times so that I can see where the animatronic enters and exits. Because, like I said, I've been on that ride too many times. It's a good ride. I like that ride. But that's pretty much so. The Disney movie has been my biggest experience with Tarzan, besides reading the first book, which I read for college. Yeah, I went for college.
I read it for fun, because I liked the movie. And I was like, oh, I'm going to read the book.
Mistake!
You know, like how I described that sense of, like, severe disappointment when I left Pocahontas?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
But, man, this movie's good.
It's a good movie.
I appreciate how, like, just everything about it comes together into, like, it doesn't feel dated. Like, the most dated thing about it is the extreme sports. Which is definitely, like...
The tree surfing, yeah.
The tree surfing, but it's, like, at the same time, if I hadn't seen the endless, like, teaser trailers about, like, look, we put skateboarding in the movie, like...
There's so much of that in Disney Channel.
But if I hadn't seen that, I don't think that I would, like, associate the two. Like,
Not
it's
really.
Just really well done on its own.
Yeah, no, it can hold up on its own just fine. Like, kids could watch this movie now and not even know about that. Like, because, well, skateboarding culture actually comes and goes over time, but it was really big in the 90s. Like, big deal, like skateboarding and extreme sports. You have to do extreme and like backflips in the air, woo! And so they put that in this movie probably to draw in audiences, and I guess it worked. Tarzan made money. Oh yeah. Speaking of making money, this is the end of the Disney Renaissance officially.
I'm so sad.
We are sad. There are some good movies our way. We haven't
Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is coming up.
I'm so excited. I love Lilo and Stitch. Besides the fact that it makes me cry like a little bitch, but you know, Emperor's New Groove. I like Treasure Planet. Some people don't.
I like Treasure Planet.
Well, I like Treasure Planet. Though, actually, you know what was a disappointment when I read the actual Treasure Island book when I was young? I didn't like it very much. I read it when I was kind of young, so maybe it just wasn't for me. But I watched Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh gosh,
I love Muppet Treasure Island.
There's so many like derivative stories of Treasure Island. I mean, there's so many derivative stories of Tarzan too, and it's like it is interesting to go back to the original and see how sometimes the original is not the better one.
No, it isn't. Especially, and I didn't think that was the case with Treasure Island. I was really, really bored. I was like, okay, we're on the boat. Now we're traveling. There's no Kermit in here. Like, it wasn't, I liked other versions I've seen of, like, the takes on that story better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's can be true with a lot of material. It's not like, this doesn't always happen to me. Like, Wizard of Oz is a really good book series. Like, really, really excellent. And so is Alice in Wonderland is a good book series.
That too, yeah.
So it's not like always the case.
And yet though, like, okay, so book Tarzan and movie Tarzan are different enough that I would consider them two like really separate pieces of work. But
yeah.
like at the same time, like book Alice in Wonderland and Disney Alice in Wonderland, the animated movie, the first one. Like,
oh my god, that's right. There's a live action version.
So faithful that like I accept that as like an extension of the original work.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about when we talked about Alice in Wonderland and its adaptations, and it's hard not to talk about it without talking about the book and its adaptations because it's that kind of work. I think with Tarzan, you can definitely talk about those two separately. Mm-hmm. There's enough on both of them.
Yeah, I mean, they're two totally different animals.
Hey! That's terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself, Fuji.
I'm not.
I know.
You do stuff like that all the time.
I just get angry when other people do it. I'm just like, I don't know, tons. Anyway,
but, I mean, just everything about this movie just comes together really nicely.
Yeah,
I think. Like
it's pretty good pace too.
Like everything, like the cinematography and the visuals and the music and
CGI aged okay.
Yeah, the writing, like everything, it's just comes together really nicely, and I think that it's kind of rare that something just hits all of the good points like that.
Yeah, I really enjoy this movie, and I know some people don't like Phil Collins singing over the whole thing instead of having the characters sing, but I don't know, I like it. I think it's it's a different from what we saw in the previous movies.
You like Phil Collins or you don't like Phil Collins?
Pretty much, like if you don't like Phil Collins, you're not going to enjoy this movie. If you do like Phil Collins, you'll be fine, or if you're indifferent, you'll be fine. Like,
I mean, this movie introduced me to Phil Collins, I will admit, and it's a good introduction.
Did he do the music for Toy Story?
No, that is
different guy.
Randy Newman.
Okay. Yeah, Randy Newman. Thank you. I was like, I don't think it was the same dude.
Nope, different dude.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I like Phil Collins. I mean, with his music, it always feels so epic. If that makes any sense.
The music is really epic.
Yeah, it's like dun, 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 you have all those drums. You have soulful flute music that
also,
plays.
The beginning part that's showing like the parallel stories with Kala and her baby, and then Tarzan and his parents. Like, that was such a great, 4 minutes of, show don't tell.
Yeah.
And it just set up everything so nicely.
Mm-hmm. Tarzan is one of my favorite Disney movie openings. That, how that opens, it just goes right into it. Burning ship. There's a lifeboat. This family's trying to get the hell out of here. And, the music goes really well with all of it. And you learn the story pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. It reminds me a little bit of the first few minutes of Up.
Oh yeah,
how that opens and how when you see the relationship in that movie, it's just focused on the pair as a couple. So you're upset at that's why when Up came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, the first 10 minutes made me cry a lot."
I wasn't expecting any of this.
Yeah, exactly. Even though people should expect Pixar will destroy you from the inside out, no pun intended. But that movie did make me cry Inside Out.
Do you remember the trailer for Inside Out before there was any real footage, and it was going through all of the emotions, and it showed clips from other Pixar movies, and it was
sadness.
Happiness, and sadness was the last one, and everyone knew that they were gonna have that part from Up, and sadness was the last one, and then they did it, and everyone was just like,
flips tables.
Yep.
You get angry at Pixar. Because they make such nice stuff, and then they make Cars 3.
I haven't seen it yet.
I don't know, man. It doesn't sound like it's that great. Granted, if it's like the first Cars, then that means it's kind of.
I liked the first Cars.
I didn't care for it, and the second one is
okay. I'm gonna. So my mom likes The Bodyguard. My dad liked Cars 2.
Oh my god,
a lot. My dad really liked that movie.
Jeez. Oh my god.
Planes. They watched Planes.
You know what? We're not talking about Pixar right now. We could do that at a different time. Let's go back to Tarzan, or else I'll be talking about something completely different.
I want the art book for this movie because it's just everything is gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I love the way that they move, like the way the gorillas move and the way that Tarzan moves, and like just okay, someone had to be on their knuckles while they were animating this.
Most definitely.
Someone had to be walking around on their knuckles for months.
Stand like this, like
just, okay, we gotta watch you. Okay, do it again. Do it. Like,
hold still.
I want to know who that was. Some animator at Disney.
Yeah, whoever you are, way to take one for the team, friend. Way to take one for the team. And
Glen Keane. Glen Keane was here again.
Oh yeah, Glen Keane was the one who animated Tarzan. Tarzan is barefoot, so his foot fetish came back. I'm kind of mad that I noticed this because now I won't be able to stop noticing it ever. So great, thanks. I'm gonna blame you, Fuji, because I'm pretty sure you're the one who pointed this out to me.
I definitely did.
God damn it! I hope anyone who listens to us now can't unsee it either.
Tarzan
so suffer with me.
Some wonderfully rendered man feet, though.
He sure does. They're all pretty well designed characters.
They really are.
They look good. I don't know how to describe the style that they're drawn in, but I like it.
It's stylized, like it's not realistic, but yet at the same time, like certain parts are just realistic enough that you believe that these characters like have weight and like take up space in this world.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, just as an animator and like, 2D animation, like, not to say that 3D computer animation is easier, because it's certainly not. No. There's lots of other challenges that you run into, but at the same time, I always thought it was easier to get a sense of weight when you were working with a 3D model, because you could actually assign weight to your material. You can tell the computer it weighs this much, and it would at least help you get started. But when you're working from scratch in 2 dimensions, like, you have to know all of it in your head.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to generate it all. And I mean, like, in a way, if you're good at it, it is easier that way, but it's just a totally different sort of learning curve. And that's why, like, all of, like, the musculature and everything, and I think it's not really something that they revisit until Moana, like, Maui, having all of the skin and all of the muscles, and, like, figuring out how to render all of that so that it's believable but not weird.
Not uncanny. Not Uncanny Valley.
Uncanny Valley, yeah.
Yeah, and the nature shots were gorgeous. They like took a look at Lion King and goes, well, we did the savannah, it's time to do the jungles, and they did the jungles really well. It looks really good. And how the animal move is very, very realistic, I found, more or less. I mean, it is also stylized, but like...
Because you got to see gorillas, where you worked.
I worked at a zoo, when I was in high school, and I watched gorillas and the big cats, like Sabor, who, by the way, Sabor is a weirdly determined predator, because picking a fight with a silverback's a terrible idea. Like,
Sabor don't take any shit.
No, she sure doesn't. She just goes right for it. I don't know what kind of deal she's got, because she doesn't talk or anything. She just, like, in it to win it. Like, because the thing with predators, and predators will not go after, like, usually won't go after strong and healthy animals. They go for the weaker ones, the younger ones. Stuff like that. I mean, if they do go for the strong and healthy ones, it's usually like element of surprise. They have something to their advantage. Same thing in the jungle. But picking a fight with a silverback, I'm just like, yeah, go ahead and do that, Sabor. See how that turns out for you. And then fighting with Tarzan, who is taller than Kerchak, but not like bulkier. Kerchak's definitely bulkier. That's still like, I'm just kind of impressed how determined that she is as a predator. But there's a part where, when in like the beginning, where she's trying to eat baby Tarzan, and she like does the shoulder wiggle that big cats and cats do when they're gonna pounce on something, or they're focusing, or they're gonna jump on it. And I thought that was a nice detail, because you usually don't have to. I compare Aristocats, you really didn't see that kind of thing.
Not really, yeah.
And plus, no one had weird thumbs.
Yes. Okay, I'm just saying, speaking of Kerchak, at the very beginning, I totally didn't notice this cut, but when Kala's singing the song, come stop your crying, it'll be alright, but, I will protect you from all around you, yeah. And the camera cuts to Kerchak.
She's like, I'll protect you from this motherfucker. I'm like, yep, she will fight. She is a gorilla after all.
She is.
The gorillas, you do not want to mess with gorillas. You also don't want to mess with any sort of primates. I'm going to tell you that much.
Yeah.
Even tiny ones, they will come at you.
I
in
mean,
numbers.
they demonstrate that in this movie.
They do. You do not.
Also, I appreciate how accepting Jane was of Kala being Tarzan's mom.
She's like, "Oh, that's your mom.
That's your mother. Okay."
Granted, she and her dad are seem to be those kind of people who are just like, all right, it's this now. Okay, there's a wild man here. Okay, that's there's so many monkeys, so many monkeys, and I do like Jane.
Oh, I like her a lot. I think she's fantastic.
I agree, and props
like between her and Meg, you know, like we've had some really
nice, cool ladies.
Amazing, cool ladies.
Yeah, I liked. Shout out to Minnie Driver, who's her voice actress, who I was first introduced to via Phantom of the Opera movie, because she was Carlotta. Doesn't use her real singing voice, though.
It's a shame.
Yeah, because she's a lower alto, and because that movie is flawed in so many directions. They're like, we're
not talking about that movie.
But that's neither here nor there. But point being is, like, I really like Jane. She's cool. I like her dad.
And even Clayton, like,
Clayton's a really good villain.
So we were talking about, he's totally the poacher character from Rescuers Down Under, like version 2.0.
Yeah.
And yet he's just as like over the top and like nuts, but like in kind of a weird charismatic kind of way.
You know what? I realized what the difference is. While the guy in Rescuers Down Under, like McCree. Well, McCree in Rescuers Down Under, he's just like running around, knocking crap down, doing like he's not as he's not as like, you know, how did you catch this guy? Like with Clayton, he's obviously a very sneaky fella, and because he has this mutiny happen on the ship, and us the audience could see it coming, of course. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's the bad guy, but like he's able to hide it better, and you could be like, oh, that's why no one noticed before, because you're right, he's charismatic, and McCree is not, and you can definitely
just nuts.
He's just weird and nuts, and there's a lot of problems with Rescuers Down Under. Like, man, that movie ends abruptly, but so I find Tarzan to be kind of an improved version of Rescuers Down Under, thinking about it.
Oh yeah.
If
because I was saying, you know, it's an environmental movie without being preachy about it.
Right.
Like it gets you, you know, instead of just being like poaching is bad, don't be poaching.
Yeah.
Like it makes you like sympathize with these gorillas like as characters, and then when bad stuff's happening to them, like you don't want bad stuff to be happening to them.
Right. With Tarzan's family, I cannot remember what they call a group of gorillas, but his family, you do get to know them more or less. Like you don't like any like, you know, personal moments or even learn everybody's names for that matter, but like you can see all the female gorillas and you're like, oh yes, this is Chatty Mom group.
And then like the dumb like teenage boy group.
Yeah, you had the little babies, and you get the idea. Very show don't tell. Like you don't really need to elaborate on these characters, but it's like you look at them and you're like, oh yeah, I could probably follow this character, and they would have their own lives and stuff.
And like, you know, storyline.
Like I think something that happens in movies a lot is like nothing exists outside the frame of this movie. That's bad filmmaking. You don't want to make it so nothing exists outside the frame of this movie. Like, so like, you know, the only example I can think of off the top of my head is how the Gem and the Holograms movie, like that movie does that, where it's like, yeah, nothing exists outside the frame of this movie. Everything exists just for this movie. And the second they're out of the frame, shrug. Like you can't, it's not a living, breathing world, so to speak. Because that's what you have to do in fiction, like of any kind, is create a living, breathing world that people can be like, oh yeah, I can buy into this. I can watch this. And I think Tarzan does a good job with it. And it's really such a nice looking movie. Goodness gracious, it's a good movie.
Yeah, I should get this one on Blu-ray.
Oh, that looks so nice.
Yeah.
Also, I've kind of got a Bambi vibe with like the one part where the flowers were opening in the water.
Oh yeah.
I was just like, Bambi, is that you?
Also, we were saying that this is like the first since Dumbo, like kind of mother-son relationship that, you know, like
is developed, I guess is the right word. Because with Dumbo and his mother, I wouldn't say it was underdeveloped, because I don't think so.
But he's like a baby.
He can't talk.
Yeah.
Dumbo cannot speak.
And then Bambi's mom just dies.
Bambi's mom dies very quick. So I appreciated
like the amount of time that we spent with like Kala, you know, with Tarzan as a baby, and then like Tarzan as a kid, before we get into like the Tarzan and Jane story that everybody knows.
Right. Yeah, I really like that too, because then you realize, like, you know, this is his family. Like, they took him in, took care of him, and this is the gorilla that did so, and this is his mother. Because he says when he decides to go with the people at that one point in the movie, he's like, no matter where I go, you'll always be my mother. And I really like that. That's really nice. And it has been since Dumbo, because either the mom is dead or we don't really see much of a relationship. Like, for example, Hercules, like, his adoptive parents or his biological parents, they're not around very much in that
And I mean,
movie.
like, Simba and Sarabi have like a moment, but not a lot.
Yeah, it's different than Simba and his dad.
Yeah.
Like, when he spends a lot of time with Mufasa and they develop a bond, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just different, and we haven't had it since, like, Dumbo. From what I could tell, I looked through the list, and I couldn't think of anything where either the parent is dead, or, you know, just doesn't have any lines. Like, for example, poor Aurora's mom.
Yeah.
Who the heck is she? That's why the Maleficent movie didn't do anything with her, because they're like, I don't know what to do with this person. We don't have to do anything. Just kill her off later. Okay. That's a different movie. Which, honestly, you can talk a lot about that movie in particular, both the good and the bad from it. But I think Tarzan's a good movie. I think the TV show's pretty good, Tarzan and Jane.
I've never seen it. I wouldn't mind.
I watched when they first released it, they did 3 episodes of a pilot, so to speak. And it takes a lot from the other novels, but it kind of puts it in the setting of the jungle because they live there.
Okay.
And if I remember right, they take over the house that Tarzan's parents built.
Oh, okay.
Which I think makes sense to me. Like, you got a perfectly good tree house right here, might as well take it over. And they do. And it's just like the day-to-day lives of Jane and Tarzan, and also the consequences of people being aware that there's a wild gorilla man on the island, because other people do come.
Oh, okay.
To like see them. Either they actually know Jane and her dad, Professor Porter. I remember his name. I was thinking, like, what the heck is his name? And I'm like, oh, right, Professor Porter. I don't know if he has a first name, but I think that's what he's called in the movie. Anyway, so it's decent. The animation's kind of janky, but it's TV animation.
Sure.
The Disney animation budget usually wasn't that great, and I think they did their best with what they had. But it's better than some other series. I thought it was pretty good. It reminded me a little bit of Aladdin's TV series when that was around.
Okay.
And it was on Disney Channel for a while. I think it lasted at least a season. I don't know how long it went, but it was pretty good. It's something to have on while you're doing other things.
Sure. Okay, yeah, I might look into that.
Yeah. It's really interesting. But then Tarzan 2 is kind of a waste of time. George Carlin voices a monkey. You know,
I mean, there seems to be a running pattern here
about how much I hate Disney sequels.
Yep.
Granted, I don't hate Tarzan 2. I just think it's just kind of a waste of your time. You're just watching, you're like, I could be doing other things or watching something better. I could watch Tarzan again. That's what I'm going to do. Turn off Tarzan 2, watch Tarzan. Because all it is just like, Tarzan's a child. And he wants to figure out who he is. Do you know what the conclusion of that film is? He's a Tarzan. There, now you don't have to watch it.
I think you told me that before.
Yeah, now you don't have to watch it. There you go. You don't have to watch it. That's all you need to know. And also George Carlin's in it. You know, the guy that had the sketch where he talks about all the swear words you can't say on TV? Yeah, that guy.
I mean, we established that this is a trend. You put people with famous names in your thing so that people will watch it.
Speaking of people with famous names, Rosie O'Donnell is Turk.
Yes, I love her in this movie.
She's really good. I like her. I like her voice acting with Turk.
She's so funny.
She's pretty funny.
Okay.
I enjoy it. So, do you got anything final thoughts with Tarzan?
No, it's just really good. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
you know, I'll always watch it. Over again.
You'll always be in your heart.
I'll always be in my heart.
No matter what they say. Okay, so our next movie is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be Fantasia 2000, which came out in 1999.
A lot of things named 2000 came out in 1999.
Oh my god, you're right. Huh. So we'll see how that goes. Anyway, see you then.